am your captain, Auma Evans. What a week! A week that we have seen the Reds, fall, and the bridge has actually been entered into. This is the year that we see Thomas Tuchel being ushered out of the Stamford Bridge, and new Graham Potter taking the reign of Chelsea. It's still another week that we see, the return of Nick Mwendwa, and many have been, the return of Nick Mwendwa has sparked some kind of reaction among Kenyans, some of mixed reactions. Someone saying now it's time for football to be officially back, and some are saying that we are just seeing, they're not sure whether this is the right decision for this to happen. And this is much and more that we'll be discussing later on with my gang on our subsequent sports review. Well, apart from that, we have some fixtures that were supposed to be played today, the English fixtures, but we take we just go through these fixtures later on, and before we take you through our highlight of the day. Well, the embattled Football Kenya Federation President Nick Mwendwa has written to the World Football Governing Body FIFA, notifying its top leadership that he is back in office. In a letter dated September 8, 2022, and addressed to FIFA President Gianni Infantino, Mwendwa says he resumed his duties following the withdrawal of corruption charges raised against him by Director of Public Prosecution Nuruddin Haji on 8th of July this year. On November 11, 2021, Sports Cabinet Secretary Ambassador Amina Mohammed disbanded Football Kenya Federation on account of revealed misuse of public fund. Well, now from FKF embargo to, the Kenya Rugby Sevens, and I'm talking about World Rugby Cup that is happening, that is currently ongoing at South Africa. It's a story that, it will become as painful to many Kenyans. However, the Kenya Sevens failed Argentina test after suffering 22-7 in the round of 16. Shujaa defeated Tonga 19-0 in their opening match to reach the round of 16 in Rugby World Cup Sevens action at the Cape Town Stadium in Cape Town. South Africa on Friday, Sammy Oliech converted tries from Willie Ambaka and Nelson Oyo for 14-0 lead at the interval before Vincent Onyala scored late in the second half to set up a clash against Argentina in the round of 16. Well, for Shujaas, they'll have to wait for yet another 4 years to try their luck, or rather to hold that prestigious, cup. Now, moving on from rugby to some, athletics. Olympics and 1500 meters world champion Faith Kipngetich, women 800 meter Commonwealth Games champion Mary Moraa and Emmanuel Correll smiled all the way to the bank after each pocket 3.6 million Kenya shillings for their victory and glittering Diamond Gold trophies during the finals of Diamond League in Zurich, Switzerland on Thursday. The trio joined fellow countrymen world 5,000 meters silver medalist Beatrice Chebet and Commonwealth Games 5,000 meters silver medalist Nicholas Kimeli, who won Diamond League trophy in 500 meters, taking Kenyan's tally to 5. Still on the Diamond League, World 100-meter women champion Shirley Ann Fraser-Pryce stormed to victory in the women 100-meter at Diamond League final in Zurich on Thursday to claim her 5th win in the final stretch of the season-ending event. The Jamaican 100-meter queen clocked 10.65 seconds ahead of fellow Jamaican Jackson, who finished second in 10.18, while Ivorian Maria Jose Talui settling for bronze, tapping 10.91. While in men's category, American Trayvon Bromell controlled the men's race from the start, clocking 9.94 to beat Jamaica's Johanna Blake and Canadian Aaron Brown, who finished second and third respectively. Still matters to do with athletics. Kipchoge, I beg your pardon, Berlin Marathon have commemorate and remarkable figures and events of marathon running since the time and immemorial are expected to commemorate Kenyan marathon King Eliud Kipchoge was the first featured in 2018. The same year, he went on to set the current world record of 2 hours, 1 minute and 3.9 seconds. Tekla Lorupe is the only other Kenyan to have been accorded the honor when she was featured in 2000 after she had set a new record in the Berlin. From athletics now to football. Preparation. Kenya Premier League heavyweights Gor Mahia will lock horns with Mombasa-based side Bandari FC in friendly match at Mbaraka Sports Club on Saturday as both teams build up ahead of the new FKF Premier League season. At the same time, the FKF presidential aspirant Twaha Mbarak has said that the revival of the KPL will restore the confidence of sponsors who are key for success of the league. Now to some Vihiga Queens, revamping their squad. Four-time Kenya Premier League champions Vihiga Queens are expected to sign 5 new players prior to the new season kickoff scheduled to commence on September 24th, according to Vihiga Queens tactician Boniface Nyamunyamu. Unveiling of the 5 local players is part of his new strategies, for the season on behalf as the squad they aim to claim the title they won last season. Nyamunyamu has also expressed confidence in the new government under President William Ruto in raising the country's suspension of international football by FIFA. Now to some, athletics action. Africa record holder and Commonwealth Games 100-meter champion Ferdinand Omanyala was beaten by 200 meters world champion Noah Lyles in a 100 meters race at Berlin Continental Tour silver event on Sunday evening. Omanyala came second ahead of Great Britain's Jeremiah Azu before attending Hale's final race in Croatia. Well, now moving on to another, some rather disturbing stories. Menengai Oilers Rugby Club has lost one of their centre halves, Anthony Kibet, who succumbed to stab injuries after a night attack by unknown assailants on Saturday night in Nakuru. Kibet was in the company of his teammate Brian Otieno, who is currently undertaking treatment in a local hospital. Nakuru Police County Commander Peter Mwanza said they have launched an investigation following the fateful incident and other insecurity cases in the area. Now switching gears to some international news. The fate of Juventus and French midfielder Paul Pogba may not have represented his country in the 2022 Qatar World Cup in November this year after undergoing knee surgery following an injury he sustained in July. Pogba only attended 2 training sessions after he rejoined Serie A side this summer after his contract with Manchester United was terminated. Pogba will likely to miss the rest of the year with Juventus, considering that the Italian club will play until the first week of November before players depart for the Qatar World Cup. Still matters to do with international. Chelsea has settled on Brighton and Albion boss Graham Potter to take over at Chelsea following the sacking of manager Thomas Tuchel after their Champions League loss at Dynamo Zagreb. Potter has proven potentially by having Brighton sitting 4th on the early Premier League table despite operating on small budget. The English coach will now lead Chelsea on a derby match against Fulham. Now crossing over to some UEFA League action. Chelsea made a miserable start to their Champions League campaign by losing 1-0 against Dynamo Zagreb in Croatia in a night that saw PSG Kylian Mbappe netting a brace against Juventus at Parc des Princes in France. Well, that brings to an end our first segment of this particular show. When we come back, we'll be talking to Barnabas Ketletit, Athletic Kenya chairman, that is Baringo, and of course he is still Athletics Kenya coach, training youngster ahead of their upcoming journey in the world of athletics. We'll talk about the whole issue that has rocked the scene of our global sports, and that is doping. Doping has been a menace, but Ketletit will be helping us to navigate through that particular topic and see the way forward and steps that has been put in place to make sure the country overcome this challenge. That and much more will be after the break. See you in a bit.
Driving and riding without incidences on the road is such an amazing experience. But do you know while many road traffic crashes are avoidable, human behavior continues to be the leading cause. Speeding, lane indiscipline, drunk driving, distracted driving, failure to wear a helmet, and failure to use available pedestrian ways have been flagged by NTSA as the fatal 6 behaviors likely to lead to a fatal crash and serious injuries. As part of the Usalama Barabarani campaign, we request all road users to prevent these fatal 6 behaviors for their own safety and that of others. When driving, ensure your speed is within the stipulated limits. The road ahead is clear before overtaking. Stick to your lane. Keep left unless carefully overtaking. You're well rested if driving on long distances, and you never drink and drive. Usalama Barabarani starts with you. Fika Salama. This message is brought to you by the National Transport and Safety Authority and the European Union.
Today I'm going to talk to one Mr. Derek Ngige, the CEO and founder of Finer Consultancy, bringing you Shamba Assistant.
We discovered what was going wrong is no one could assist the farmer. No one actually could hold the farmer's hand through the journey. So it uses just a normal charger, and also it can be charged via solar also. You can also now collect the exact point using the GPS on board, where you're able to see the longitude and latitude of where you actually collected the soil sample, so that when you are doing advising, you can know which part of the farm, the exact part of the farm where that data was collected.
Leo nitakuwa na kufunza jinsi ya kuhani mashairi. Huu ni mmoja wapo wa utamaduni wa kipwani.
Kitu muhimu sana katika huo ukani ni kuhakikisha kwamba sauti inabaki vile vile.
Aha.
Na sauti kubaki vile vile ni kulea sauti naipasua mbarika kuwapa zangu salamu, salamu za uhakika yatufika binadamu, moyo wangu wateseka mapenzini sina jumu, damu yangu ya kungu ni bahati sina ni.
What's up, people? How are you doing? My name is Katali Kenya, and I will be bringing you the full packed entertainment show in the 254. Talk about trending topics on the industry 411.
When these people were doing the things they've been accused of, was I there?
We're bringing you the biggest, upcoming, and sizzling artists in East Africa coming through.
So then I got a call from Shafiweru. And he asked me, wewe, unataka kufanya radio ama nini?
Nikiwa solo artist, I mean, nilikuwa careful.
The biggest concerts and events going down in East Africa. As well as articulating youth issues that matter.
There's a lot of stress and strain that is associated with early parenthood.
This is the full packed entertainment show that you cannot afford to miss every Monday from 8 p.m. This is the Scrunch Show, and see you there.
Right, welcome back, and thank you for always staying with us. Remember earlier on we had asked you on our question of the day, do you really support the return of Nick Mwendwa at the helm of Kenya Football Federation? Well, keep on sending your comment to our social media platform, Facebook at KUTV Kenya, Twitter at KUTV_Kenya. Remember, these are all things that we'll be discussing later on our subsequent sports review. And let me take you pretty fast to our today's fixture. That is the fixture that was supposed to be played today prior to the postponement of those particular matches. The early kickoff will have seen Chelsea and Fulham lock horns in the London derby. Liverpool and Wolves will play. We do apologize for that mix-up. Well, in the Kenya Premier League, that is just a couple of weeks away. Remember, this particular league was supposed to happen this Saturday, actually today, but it was pushed to 24th of September owing to some resolved issues, and that will later on talk about it. But if you can go to the English Premier League and today's fixtures that we had earlier on read to you, Chelsea will lock horns against Fulham, and Liverpool want to play Wolves in the English Premier League. Leicester City will have entertained Aston Villa, Bournemouth and Brighton Albion, Southampton and Brighton, Manchester City in the biggest match of the week that many had expected to see the performance of these two particular teams, how they will perform. Remember, Manchester City is the only team, these two particular teams, they haven't lost their matches since the beginning of this season. Manchester City, they sit second on the English Premier League with 14 points, 1 point behind Arsenal, and Tottenham, they are third on the log with 14 points. These two teams, they share points, but they are separated with goal difference, and this would have been the biggest match of the week. Arsenal will have on Sunday, Arsenal will have played Everton in just a moment of redemption after their thorough thrashing at the hands of Manchester United. Remember, Arsenal had won all of their 5 matches prior to the match against Manchester United at Anfield. Well, West Ham would have entertained Newcastle, Crystal Palace would have entertained Manchester United, and on Monday probably Leeds will have played Nottingham Forest. But remember, this particular fixture has been cancelled due to the ongoing, of course, just to honor the sudden demise of Queen Elizabeth, the Queen of United Kingdom. Well, that will come later on. Now, moving on to our story that I had earlier on, promised you about the whole issue of doping. Athletics Kenya has released stringent rules to mitigate against the spiraling cases of doping in the country that threaten to impose a ban on Kenya by World Athletics Body. 5 Kenyan athletics were banned from World Athletics Championship held in Oregon. This serving as a wake-up call, prompting Athletics Kenya to instruct all local and foreign coaches to register with the Athletics Body. Barnabas Ketlit, coach and Athletics Kenya Baringo chairman, join us via phone call to help us dissect this particular matter. Good afternoon. Even as you introduce yourself, please put us into perspective of what is happening. Just how dire is the whole issue of doping?
I am Barnabas Ketlit.
Okay.
Baringo, AK Athletics Kenya Baringo Chapter, chairman.
All right.
And coach of Torongo camp.
Yeah.
I double as the coach and the manager of the camp too. As the head coach, I have 3 other coaches. I have my camp at El Damravin, and we have on nurturing talent. Our specialty is young athletes, but we have a few senior athletes now based in Chaban.
All right.
And we have had very good nurturing of talent here over, and now we have been privileged to run the programs uninterrupted.
Right.
I major in school athletes, so my athletes, high school students, majority, and they learn in a school called Sinonin.
Right.
In that context, I'm not so much exposed when it comes to the issues and matters of doping, because my athletes are young and they have entered the arena with their pure talent.
Okay.
They are not exposed. They are not knowledgeable. Some even don't understand what doping is all about, except the senior athletes.
All right.
I want to say this doping menace is becoming a big challenge to Athletics Kenya, and the federation has done a lot in terms of enlightening the young athletes and generally the athletes on the dangers of doping, and setting good training, anti-doping seminars, and we don't seem to be achieving much, because World Athletics here has observed that the federation is working hard. Otherwise, we should have been banned as a country if it was not discovered by their parallel investigation that Athletics Kenya is not engaging itself in partnership with athletes that are involved. And therefore, we are just surviving because of that gesture by the WADA. And I want to say it's real now that more athletes will be found and caught cheating. Because I am told there are many even right now who have not been exposed because their sample B was being tested.
All right.
retested so that they can maybe inflict a ban. So I want to say, as an athletics coach and the manager of athletics at the grassroots, that the grassroots do not have much. Where the problem is these athletes who are slightly exposed. And we are not getting to know what is the problem, because it looks like some athletes do it intentionally, others we don't understand. We really don't understand. At some point, we are almost blaming now some of our colleagues, coaches, and maybe the managements, because we are not getting exactly. So I really don't have anything myself to say about doping. What I only know is that it's ravaging very badly, and every now and then you will find an athlete doing it. I took a team personally to this year's finals of indoor.
All right.
At Belgrade in Serbia.
Right.
And what surprised me is that I was notified before we started the race, that one of the athletes had been found to have cheated, so I should not register her. This was very painful for me, because you take a team, an athlete all the way to Serbia only to be told back from home, don't register the athlete. And she has been, I advise her to say, I have because of protecting the country. So there are so many things that are happening, and the athletes are embarrassing us. These are senior athletes, they have ran, they understand. Now Athletics Kenya is getting a new chapter. You can see they have sent out a circular distancing themselves with the events happening, and promising to relaunch again the aggressive program of teaching and training and educating the athletes. Already in Rift Valley, my chairman, Central Rift, Abraham Mutai, has notified that we are going to have a coaches meeting early October to try to cap this problem, and every coach to declare what he or she is doing to tame these menace within his environments, within these athletes, and in the management where we are. So we are looking forward to coming together in Central Rift region and see how it's happening. We have been left with the chairman to discuss and identify the coaches within the counties so that they can be invited for a meeting, which will be convened by the region to discuss this matter. So right now we are up and we have folded our sleeves again to try and see what we can do, because we have to impress the world body that we are doing something about it, failure to which the country may get a ban.
Right. Maybe if I may just ask, according to your own assessment, do you think we are losing the war on this particular issue?
Definitely we are losing. If we are putting that effort and yet new cases are arising, and the new cases are from some of the elite athletes whom we are sure they understand this the gravity of this matter, then it means somebody somewhere called an athlete is very negligent, and we cannot trust the athletes now.
What are we not doing right as a country? Remember, 2019 Boston and Chicago Marathon champion Lawrence Cherono was kicked out of Oregon for failing doping test. Philomen Kacharan, Stella Borsosio, Purity Changwan, among those athletes found guilty of doping. What is why now?
Our federation is doing everything right. We cannot blame, because the efforts we see, and those of us who work with the federation and closely with the federation, there is nothing that has not been done. Now we are at the mercies of God and the athletes coming to their senses to realize that they will not evade the trap of doping, and we only cannot now. We cannot attest, because, like, let me tell you, Cherono Lawrence is one of my athletes. I trained him. He was a student under when I was a principal in my school, and I am the one who identified and trained him.
Right.
I practically cannot understand. When I talked to him, he was not giving me anything but raising allegation to the effect that this was stage managed by possibly some management or some enemies, other athletes who did not want me to win the marathon title. No, when you listen to him, you only accept because ni kama mtoto wako. Siwezi nikamkosoa openly, but honestly, I don't understand how such a senior athlete could have fallen victim, because the brother told me he treated himself from some chest problem and took a drug. I don't know what. But to me, there is a procedure, a well-elaborated procedure to protect in case of such a situation. So I don't understand, and that's why I'm telling you, it is very difficult. In my own assessment, I cannot talk about what can be done, because if such people who have tested the sweetness of winnings without using drugs and the sweetness of money won through running, and then he gets victims that symbol ati alikuwa na homa na sijui kula dawa gani, I don't think so. You can see something is not well. Well, I cannot also say he was not trapped, but we have been telling these athletes to avoid certain people you don't understand. And I don't know. Well, let me not say I really am thinking hard, and I'm not arriving at what we have done. But the federation has done enough.
Yeah.
And the federation being all of us up to the grassroots, we have really had seminars. We are restarting again those seminars with the coaches first and then with the athletes.
Talking about athletes not associating with people of impeccable character, Athletics Kenya promised to crack whip on rogue coaches and pharmaceutical. What is the plan moving forward?
I really didn't say there are athletes we know of questionable, but we are saying some athletes could be mixing up with people who have had feelings about them, and most likely they can have a drink somewhere or something they are eating, and yet they have laced it with a drug. That's what I'm talking about. And the only way somebody can be trapped is take water from somebody who has trapped to trap you for doping, or a liquid water or a soda. Tunajua tu, you know, when people are friendly and you can be sipping from the same bottle.
Yeah.
So these are some of the things we are imagining somebody can trap the other. But honestly, you cannot know who those who have taken the drugs, they have always denied, you also know. Right. And so we cannot even blame them for any other continuity of the same.
Right. Even as we wind up this particular discussion, we saw ADAC really stepping up and trying to educate athletes about matters to do with doping. Probably, where do we need to tighten the rope more so that we can enlighten our athletes about the dangers of doping and everything in between, even as we wind up this particular discussion?
I think WADA has to do a lot. ADAC on have a practical experience of what is happening in the camps. Places like Iten and Kapsabet should really be studied. Some observations and secret intelligence observations to be done.
All right.
Because when we hear from those who are close to them, they say wakifuatwa sana.
Mm-hmm.
Kukiwa na uchunguzi tara, how watu wanaweza patikana, they can be found. But now, this is the work now of ADAC, not even Athletics Kenya, and the Ministry of Sports, to look for a way of doing a clear investigation to unearth from the main centers I have quoted where it has been accused that the majority of the doping cases are surrounding the major training camps. And this you cannot say the coaches know, but the athletes could be engaged in some funny practices with the people that are known, including some chemists and something like that.
All right. Well, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Evans.
Well, that was Barnabas Kitlit just telling us about the whole issue of doping and how it has come a major problem here in the country. And of course, that particular issue of doping is threatening to derail the gains made in the athletics industry. Remember, this is where Kenya is known globally. Kenya is one of the powerhouse as far as athletics is concerned, and such kind of shocking revelation like this one could actually jeopardize the gains made in the fight, or rather in elevating the standard of Kenya, even as we endeavor to put the Kenya on the global as one of the most successful powerhouse, or rather nations countries in the globe. Well, we hope that urgent call will be taken, and people, actually those capable of tarnishing the reputation that has been built for so long, will be brought to book, and Kenya will remain and stand tall as far as the fight against doping is concerned. We take another short break, and when we come back, it will be a local review and international review as we dissect through sporting activities that has taken place this particular week to see what next and how it is going up. And of course, just to give you a brief highlight of what is coming up, remember earlier on I asked you a question about, do you really support Nick Mwendo's return to the helm of Kenya Football Federation? That is, remember yesterday, yesterday we talked about the return of Mwenda, and we were asking that particular question: do you support the return of Nick Mwenda to the helm of Kenya Football Federation, owing to so many charges, so many allegations that were allegedly misappropriation of public fund? But remember, those particular charges were withdrawn by the Director of Criminal Investigation, Nordin Haji, and now, as things stands, Mwenda is a free man, and according to him, he will resume office. That begs the question: what is the fate of football? Transitional FKF Transitional Committee that was just installed a couple of weeks ago to see the return of, rather the smooth running of the new season that was pushed forward to 24th of this particular month. We'll be talking about that later on. But first, let's take a short break, and when we come back, we dive direct to that particular discussion, plus the performance of Shujas and Rugby World Cup that is ongoing in South Africa. See you in a bit.
KUTV, in conjunction with Kenyatta University Funeral Home, is now offering death announcements immediately following our news bulletins at 7 p.m. At this sorrowful time, as you share in your grief, allow us to communicate your announcement of your loved one on KUTV in both Kiswahili and English. For more details, kindly inquire at the KU Funeral Home Service Desk or call 0736 928 380 or dial 020-359-9054.
Maelfu na maelfu ya wahamiaji wakiwa na watoto kutoka nchi za Amerika ya Kati wanaendelea kuwasili kwenye mpaka kati ya Marekani na Mexico.
But folks, I'm going. Thank you very, very much. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Ni habari kutoka pembe zote duniani.
People pass vuguvugu. People pass ni idea.
Sazidi ananyonya, hanyonyi vizuri, anakuwa hayuko comfortable.
Jeshi la Jamhuri ya Kidemokrasia ya Kongo linapambana na waasi wa ADF.
Kwa sasa wanatoa wito kwa mashirika, makampuni na vile vituo vya uchukuzi.
Mambo mengi yatakwenda kama yalivyopangwa.
Hapa ni kuna mmoja wa viongozi wa chama cha wavuvi katika eneo hili.
Zaidi tunajaribu kuwapa chanjo ili ina boost ama inanyanyua kinga ya mwili, ndio inaenda kupelekea kupambana na virusi.
Ni dunia ni leo, Jumatatu mpaka Ijumaa, moja kwa moja kutoka VOA Swahili, Washington DC.
Lola ni programu inayokupa fursa ya kutizama video zozote pindi tu unapokuwa na nafasi. Hadithi za kukupa motisha, drama, maisha ya vyuo vikuu, teknolojia, masuala ya jamii, kuzuru maeneo tofauti, spoti, burudani na zaidi. Pata programu ya Lola sasa kwenye rununu yako kwa yote unayohitaji.
Ukiwa na dukuduku la michezo, tunafungua sanduku la dukuduku kwa ufahamu zaidi. Kila danadana, mitimpo, mifiatuko na harakati zote ugani, sisi ni wako mwandani. Kukurukakara zote nyanjani, haziwezi kuangaziwa zaidi ya micharazo michezoni. Mimi mwanaspoti wako matata Peter Pinches Mwaora ndakuwa na jopo lenye maarifa sufufu, nikufahamishe na nikuburudishe wewe shabiki shakiki kwa uhakiki na kindakindaki.
Mixed vegetables or ratatouille. Then we had sausages and bacon served together with passion juice and tea, which we've not prepared, and also fruit cuts, which we have melon and pineapple. So you can see the plating, how it's being done. So we have our pancakes here together with strawberry. We have our mixed vegetables with ketchup sauce. We have our bacon and we have our sausages.
Tuachane na break kwanza, tuende lunch. Chapo. Kama ndimo.
Rasha piga shada kuna giza. Sikinai tujinai siweke story. Kata maji pia shada liko nasio nikosa mtupo si stress. Kama rende kisha basi nipe. Najua ni
big up, Brother, ukiwa adriva big up, sis, big up, shows, mamba, big up, oya, wase wote, okay, the principal, big up.
Technology, science, innovation, ICT and research. These are the ingredients upon which the solutions to the 21st century problems are founded. In a world that is rapidly changing, it's all hands on deck to ensure a balance in all fields of life. Women, young and old, are also in the front line, breaking the glass ceiling, becoming thought leaders in the larger tech space. Not forgetting other societies marginalized. And when the tech Avengers come together, we inch closer to a much safer, efficient, and sustainable world. What we view as a norm in today's advanced world was just an idea, and for nostalgic reasons, we trace back to the iconic days to bring you the retro tech. On Technovation Show, we encapsulate all the pillars of the fourth industrial revolution, decoded in a language, all for one for all. Make a date with me, Samson Jura, every Monday at 8:30 as we push the mantra, keep learning something new each and every day. Only on KUTV, a new experience.
The percentage in which government is giving opportunities to this specific type of groups under the AGPO, like what percentage has the government given?
No, but like I said, you see, when a budget is done for every year, every ministry will be able to place their budget for it. But whatever is given to them, 30% of the budget for that ministry is dedicated to AGPO. 30%. So let's assume, for instance, that a ministry is given 2 billion, for instance. Now, 30% of 2 billion would be about 600,000? 600 million. That will be dedicated to AGPO. And therefore, when you go to a ministry, as a young person, as a person living with disability, 600 million is actually meant for you.
This is The Agenda with Benturo Komboka and Colonel Retired Cyrus Oguna.
Access to knowledge, solution to unanswered questions.
Guidelines to pursuing your rights and repossessing your property, intellectual or material.
This and more only on Law Matters.
Karibuni sana to the Church O'Clock Show. I'm your host, Esther Becky.
And my name is DJ Teros.
We start you off with a word of prayer and get you started with a live transformational worship experience. And have our minds renewed by the word of God on the word segment.
And not forgetting new music za hii wiki, yani ndakuwa bado nawapatia pale wasanii wamekuwa kiwakali. So make sure manzo umetune in because zitakuwa zina flow pia pale mixes kwa wingi, yani zitakuwa zina come through, and pia performance yani from our gospel artist hapa on Gospel Art
from 7 to
10 a.m. only on KUTV.
Alright, welcome back, and now I'm joined by my gangster. Today we are in full house. And of course, remember earlier on we asked you about, do you really support the return of Nick Mwendwa to the realm of Football Kenya Federation? Remember, Nick Mwendwa was last year on November 11th, 2021, disbanded his and the entire Football Kenya Federation team for what was then alleged to be misappropriation of Football Kenya Federation fund later on. And after investigation, and of course the charges were withdrawn by the Director of Criminal Investigation, and now Nick Mwendwa is a free man. And according to letter dated 8th of August, the year 2022, Mwendwa, I beg your pardon, the letter was dated 8th of September. Mwendwa wrote to FIFA president informing him of his return to office with immediate effect. Well, gentlemen, thank you so much for making time. This particular issue has raised, a lot of reaction among Kenyans. Some are supporting the return of Mwendwa, some are against, the whole thing, if you look at it, does it, bring kind of incredibility into the whole issue, or do you see it as an issue of now we can enjoy the football that we once so loved? Maybe if I can start with you, Eugene.
Concerning that, I may say that if you see the CS Amina Mohammed decided to put in a committee that will see the nini.
Okay. And actually that particular issue of, the return of Mwendwa, it has been kind of with all its own uniqueness and standards of it. Now imagine this is a guy that was once, arraigned and charged in court of law for, misuse of public fund, and now he returned to the same office that he was accused. I don't know, Jijo, if it's, you read some kind of malice in that statement, or what's your reaction to this whole kind of thing?
Definitely, if you don't love Nick Mwendwa, here, when you talk of Nick Mwendwa, you don't have to talk about love and everything, because if you want the Kenyan football to return, you have to support this idea, because FIFA, the only way FIFA could have listened to us is to, let Nick Mwendwa come back again, control football, and the ban will be lifted, and I'm sure in the next few days the ban will be lifted, and we'll be back into the international football.
Okay.
So me personally, according to Nick Mwendwa, right in that there is kind of a reflection that we are back, and I can tell we have been doing a lot. That time we have been banned. We have tried to correct here and there, and I can feel that the taste, you can feel even the clubs, they are trying to do their best. You have seen the transfers, how they have been done. The only thing that has affected that's affected football is the planning of the stadiums, because the only stadium that we have brought in, it is Kirigiti International Stadium, this here in Kiambu. So in terms of stadiums, I expected that period of ban we could have tried to renovate this one, renovate City Stadium, but until now I think now that Nairobi has a new governor, maybe he will be supporting, and he might return that the beauty of City Stadium. I think it is just that period of the ban. It's the only thing that we have not checked is trying to upgrade our stadiums. That is the only way we have not checked, because sometimes I look at some like Ruaraka Stadium, it is not a fully furnished stadium. If you look at Police FC, their stadium there at DCI, kuna vile inacheza tu pole pole, sababu I expected it ikuwe imemalizika in the next 3 months, kama vile tuliona ya Ulinzi Sports Complex ya kule Lang'ata vile ilitengenezwa haraka, na sasa Ulinzi wanaweza ita home ground, because I believe in the next few weeks, because I think the league was suspended. It was postponed actually. It is supposed to start on 24th of September. So I feel that by that time Ulinzi will have tried to settle everything, and they will be playing their home games at Ulinzi Sports Complex.
Right.
So I believe that is the only way we should check, because if you love Kenyan football plan, you have to support Nick Mwendwa coming back, because now we can find a solution when he is there, akiwa huko nje hakuna kitu tunasaidia, tuko tu band hapo, and you can imagine hata ile trophy yenye Tusker walichukua, waliambiwa wanaweza hata rudisha.
Well, at the end of the day, someone has to be accountable. Remember, we are talking about public fund that they just walk, and we need someone to be accountable for that. People who are allegedly to have misused that fund that was meant to develop some stadium that you're talking about, and even sponsor some league. Remember, the particular season we have seen some teams even folding their hands and saying, you know what, we have tried our best, but this is the best we can do. Some like Mathare United now giving up and just failing to honor some matches. For me, I think someone need to be responsible for all that. In as much as Nick Mwendwa return may somehow, usher in or rather bring some hope to already, local football fans and the resume and even the lifting of suspension. But do you think someone really need to be accountable for that, even as people celebrate the return of Mwendwa?
Okay, someone has to be accountable, but you cannot huwezi toa Nick Mwendwa umweke kando useme nienda sasa kuna hizo shida zote. For me, yenda kuna experience. Na kuinua hii KPL yetu, we really need him. So for me, tunafaa tumkubali for now.
Even I can say something concerning that maybe. If you look at Nick Mwendwa and wakati alitoka tu kwa office, you can feel how Kariobangi Sharks were affected because who owns Kariobangi Sharks? It is Nick Mwendwa, and you can tell that he used to misuse public funds, football funds by alikuwa anatumia hizo pesa kutengeneza klabu yake. That's why you could see Kariobangi Sharks could sign anybody, mwenye wanataka anakuja because they had a lot of money, but right now look at them, wanasafa, hakuna pesa, That's why na ukitaka kujua pesa inatumika vibaya, you just wait and see. Wakati Nick Mwendwa atarudi kwa your office, you'll wonder Kariobangi Sharks will bring in whole lots of a whole squad like the other day how Tusker did.
Well, but still for me, I think at the end of the day, the basic of it, the genesis of it, someone must be accountable. You're talking about public fund.
Definitely.
Funds meant to support local football. We have so many issues that are going on. Clubs are struggling. Recently, we read reports about the likes of Gor Mahia, the falling giants, FC Leopards struggling to get sponsors. You understand? To even sign players. Yet, money that were allocated to help these clubs uplift and even come up, to stand on their own and support even the growth of Kenya Premier League right now, they can't be accountable for. Do you think this is a serious matter that should be discussed in as much as we keep on, rejoicing and even, clapping hands, ushering in the welcome, even as we welcome the return of Nick Mwendwa? Do you think this is a very critical matter? I'm not sure about you, how you view all these things, but do you think some accountability need to be, set in place?
Mimi naweza semaje, for the KPL to run as swiftly as possible for the entire season, lazima kuna mtu atakuwa kama admin hapo juu, unaona? So Nick Mwendwa coming in, but he has been facing a lot of graft. What charges about his admin, his funds zinapotea huku na huku, unaona? But I may say for us to be optimistic, we must have a head who is Nick Mwendwa for now. Yeah, we say that.
Well, there is a new constitution. A new election was supposed to be held, and there were some reforms and some form of drafting of the constitution to usher in a new era so that people can elect the new leadership. Remember, I have read a story about Twale Mubarak, presidential aspirant that is eyeing to clinch that particular seat that is held by Nick Mwendwa. So the big question is, what next?
Okay, according to me, I think, I don't know why we fail this, this is like repeating what we have been affected, that something that has affected us before, tunafaa tulete watu wenye wako na experience ya football, somebody who has suffered, people like the likes of akina Dennis Oliech, these are people who have suffered, really suffered, because kuna wakati walikuwa naenda huko Agola, and you can imagine, wanafika huko mahali wanaenda kukaa, hakuna stima, hawana chakula, mnafika usiku, hakuna kulala, mnafika kama hata 6, sometimes mnafika 6 asubuhi na mnaenda kama ingia kwa uwanja. You can imagine, ukitoka hapa ufikie Nairobi unakwanga umechoka. So we need such people wenye funds hawako wanazipata, federation haiko inawapea pesa hata chakula. These are the people we are supposed to bring on the table, to serve the, the Kenyan football, because they know the actual problems that players do face, coaches, referees, because I feel, watu wenye hawana very good experience in terms of football, I don't think they can do anything big, you know. I don't think kuna change kubwa wataleta kwa football, Kenyan football. We have to bring in people wenye wako na people, either journalists, somebody who have followed football from way too far behind, you know. People watu wenye wame support football, wenye wamecheza ama mwenye ref, you know, coaches. These are people we are supposed to bring on the table, and that's why ulikuwa unaona wakati Harambee Stars ilikuwa inafanya vizuri, kulikuwa na coach Mkenya, the likes of akina Francis Kimanzi, Ghost Mule. Tunataka kuleta watu kama hao, watu wanaelewa football, wameifuatilia, they have suffered with the players, because bringing in people, watu wenye hawajazoea football, sidhani kuna kitu hata wajua mashida zenyu, you know. It's like you, wakati unafanya kazi hapo unajua mashida za hapa, unlike any other person mwenye unaweza ukaleta afanye kazi yenye unafanya.
Well, for me, I don't think if that's, you really don't need to have experience to be a good leader, because for leadership is not a skill that you'll say you must first experience, you know, the problem, what is happening. As a leader, you're supposed to create, to solve issues that arise. You're supposed to be a problem solver. So for me, anybody who is capable can really transform,
but not
the leadership.
You know, experience. We are talking about somebody who have, you know, at least anaelewa football in a way, you know. Somebody who has, you know, who knows the struggles of other people, you know, because this is a person mwenye atakuja hapo utamwambia shida yako, ataielewa na ataihandle in the best way possible. So we need such people, not about experience, because you can be there but huna experience award, but you kunaweza fuatilia football like me personally nafuatilia football, so naweza kuambia players wanapitia mashida kama hizi, unlike any person mwenye hajaifuatilia, hajui ungumu wa football. Anaweza kuambia unajua mtu mwenye anajua these players lack, you know, transport money, you know, atakuja akijua hiyo ndo shida ya kwanza na kuja kutatua, you know.
Well, do you think you need to be fast experienced as a player for you to be a good leader, or to take the mantle of, you know, the leadership of football governing body here locally?
For Kenya, we really need someone who has experience. Juu uwezi solve shida yenye ujui watu wanapitia. Juu venye nimesema, you going from Kenya to another country to play football, mnafika around 6 alafu mnaingia game. So it is something which our ministers or our CS can never know kuna shida fulani inapitianga watu kama hii. Juu wao unajua watasema kuna hii pesa fulani tuliweka aside, hii ni ya players wetu, so hiyo inafaa iwasaidie hivi na hivi. So kama kuna any additional problem au kuna venye hawezi kuwa anajua hizo shida, unaona. So for me, we really need someone who kama the retired coaches, the retired players, and watu wenye wanafaa kuwa sahihi wanatusaidia ama wanaelektiwa hapo kwa sports. So for me, we really need experience.
Well, mimi naweza semaje, naona I can argue this point that the example kuna watu kama Gerrard in England na anitoaji mwingine wa Everton, Lampard. So si lazima ukuwe na ile ati umekuwa kwa futa for a long time. Ndio kama Lampard sasa sana anafanya vizuri, si ndio? Bwana mtu kama Mourinho, mwenyewe alikuwa player kweli?
Hapana.
Mwenyewe kwa player, si ndio? Lakini he's an elite manager, si ndio? So for you to be in the top level lazima uko na leadership skills kwa maisha, kwa nini, kwa kile ndio sawa je ku manage vitu kama hizo. Hiyo ndio nasema, yani it's not about to be experienced but leadership skills.
Okay. Even as we talk about the whole issue of leadership and versus experience, well, the big question right now is actually what next? Remember, there is a constitution that was drafted, this one, and I'm still, you know, finding very hard to even come to terms. Like, even if I sit and think about it, still I can't get answers. What will happen to that particular constitution? Will I move forward with it? Will we use it to usher in new leadership? The whole issue is confusing. I don't know. What are you saying? What are you reading into it?
Okay, personally, I feel like, you know, the next is already here, you know. The first thing, tushapata solution ya kwanza, the ban is almost getting lifted, you know. That is the next that you're talking about. So I feel that is the first solution, and the next one first we have to we need a a cabinet secretary for sports, because
it's not
because I guess is outgoing now CS for sports. So I believe even the government has to come in order to know whether our constitution will be working as well, because it has to move proportional to the it has to move along with the government, whatever that the government of Mheshimiwa William Ruto, the president elect, will come in with, ndo tujue the way forward. So first of all, okay, constitution is there, it is drafted, and there is a lot of positivity actually. Nimefuatilia kidogo hapa na pale, and I feel kuna a lot of positivities zinakuja kwa football, but for now, first thing first, kwanza tuangalie hii government mpya yenye inaformiwa iingie before ligi ifike katikati, najua mambo mengi itakuwa imebadilika. Yeah.
Well, government comes and go. And football problems will always remain there. We have seen, government comes, go, and you're still in the same dilemma that you used to be. For me to tackle the issue of football and all, how to transform it from one level to another, it will require for me what I call divine intervention. And talking about government chipping in and giving a lending hand, there is something that is really troubling me. When I was following, the manifestos, when these politicians were launching their manifesto, I can tell you, there wasn't something very concrete that we can say will usher in a glimmer of hope for sports, especially here in the country. And I don't know if you share same sentiment, but for me, if you ask me, I think we'll still drown in that the river that we are really struggling to come out of it. I don't know if you share same sentiments.
Mine is, it depends. It really depends on the CS. The CS will be ushered next. Naona huyo ndo sasa anafaa kutatua hizo mashida zote, not even the president. Juu huyu ndo mtu mwenye tunampelekea shida zetu, tunamwambia ndio kitu tunahitaji. If we have a CS who really likes sport, ama mtu mwenye anajali kitu kuhusu sports, anajua shida zote yenye tumekuwa tukipitia, huyu mtu mwenye anaweza kuja atusaidie so that we can grow as a country in sports. Juu in the last 10 years we have been waiting for many stadiums to be completed, yet it has not been completed. But Ruto said when he enters as a president, kuna venye kunaweza kuwa na kuna vitu zitaweza kurekebishwa hapa na pale. So we expect much. Actually, I expect much in the next 5 years. Naona maybe tunaweza kuwa mbali if tutakuwa tunaweza kuwa mbali.
For me naweza semaje, ati for us to move forward to be in the level of akina Egypt, akina South Africa, the league like that, inafaa the CS, FKS president, wote they read in the same book, wasikuwa na divided opinion ati huku kwa hivyo, kwa sababu hata ukiona hiyo ban vile ilikuja, ilikuwa ni ati government will intervene na nini na the schedule of FKF, ndio kwa sababu tukapewa ban ya kuto participate, ndio Sasa jamaa kwa book moja, they read in the same thing, tunaenda hivi si wote takuwa sawa. For now mimi niko na wewe bado sioni.
But Evans, that's a very good question. I was actually asking somebody somewhere during that presidential debate, why do they not consider talking about sports in the debate? They should ask such questions, because niliongoja mahali those journalists wauliza mambo na sports, what we really do, because wanaulizwa mambo mengi sana about economy and everything, but sports nobody is there to talk about. But personally me, I blame Kenyan football, hatu brand zile team zetu, hatu brand the sports itself. That's why tumedidimia. We were sometimes back, we were far away, tulikuwa tumepita Tanzania na mbali sana. But look at Tanzania now,
kina Yanga,
just to go and watch wakati kama sasa hivi wanacheza that Chad CAF, ukiingia pale Benjamin Mkapa uwanja inajaa kujaa, and that's really worries me, because ukifika ni hapa Kenya brand yenyewe inakosa. Hata mafans wakikuja akiambiwa lipa hiyo ticket ya 200 ingie kwa uwanja, anashangaa anaenda coach, afadhali nienda ni watch game ya Arsenal Man U, because we have not branded our teams. Go to Tanzania, go watch Simba playing against the Yanga or any other team. Utawapata mashabiki hata wakiambiwa ni 500 wataingia because they love football, they have passion for it, you know. We have to show people that football is so, you know, it's very sweet. Ndio wakuja kwa uwanja, people travel from, you know, very, you know, far away to come and watch football here because kama uja brand team lazima usukume wa fans wako wakuja kupenda. That's why unapatanga team kama, you know, kuna teams ziko na very good, you know, loyal fans. Kama ukienda huko Western, you know, utapata kama team kama Gor Mahia huko Nyanza iko na mafans wake kabisa because ni team zilianza kitambo, wameshika ile strategy ya let in mafans waingie kwa team. So actually me I feel that tunakosa hiyo cycle ya kubrand team zetu. We need to really work on that. That's why utapata hata president sometimes anasahau hata sports because that's why unaona sports cabinet wenye walikuwa naletwa most of them okay, I don't want to go on the politics direction but you can tell kutokana na wale CS wenye tumekuwa na wa sports bado tuko mbali sana.
Well, I think in that the whole issue, actually I was expecting something like maybe we the youth, maybe, or even the football enthusiasts, you know, being taken to, you know, being brought to the table, discussed about the way moving forward. And of course, the whole issue of FKF, we'll talk it over and over again. Now we want us to move to some World Rugby series that's, you know, it's so sad for us Kenyans that we were knocked out of that particular tournament, and the way we had so much hope and optimism about our team, you know, after thrashing Tonga 19-0, actually it ushered in some sort of hope that this actually might be ours. It's so sad. We're talking about, you know, Kenya bidding it goodbye.
I may say that due to disciplinary issues, we fall short to the Argentines in the second match. So unapata some to kama the guy who was shown a yellow card too late. There were two players of ours who were shown yellow card. And you know in rugby kama kuna yellow or kind for some minutes, ndio. So Argentina wakachukua hiyo fursa. Wakatuchapa vizuri, kutuchapa. So but we are optimistic after the first match that we will go on to the quarters and semis. So check. But ni sawa tu. Disciplinary issues ndio sijui sasa. Ni sawa tu. Yaani ukimeisha lakini
and actually you know that particular kind of match, it was we were punished for our own mistake. And I remember there is a time we were talking about much of you know, bad performance posted by Shujas, much of it is owed by the silly mistakes that players make on the field. And we saw some, you know, even some being disciplined, others, you know, being told that this time you'll see it on the bench. So do you think if we were to, you know, talk about rugby in a more positive way going forward, do you think we really need to first of all clean, you know, our house first before now we can take the real test?
I think we should work on our disciplinary issues because this has happened even in 2018 during World Cup. Ile time Oliech again alipatiwa yellow card. So we were ahead but kidogo hivi tukaweza kushindwa juu tulikuwa na few players in the pitch. Naona. So for me what I really think we need to work on our disciplinary issues because Shujaz is a good team. So I really think it's about disciplinary issues. Alafu hapo kidogo tu tutaongeza tu tactics 2-3 hivi and then we are good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did you, what's your take on this entire issue as even, you know, Kenya bid bye World Cup until maybe probably another 4 years to come?
I don't know why when we start, you know, competing for these big competitions, we start by, you know, performing very well, but inafikanga mahali tunajipoteza sisi wenyewe. We lose the psyche. I don't know what is happening, but I feel now it is time for now, you know, the tacticians, the coach to come in and, you know, they solve this whole lot of issues because tukiingia pale kwa uwanja hata you can even tell the indifferences between players, you know, and that is what really affects our game here. So we really have to work on that, and I think we have very good squads, you know. if you talk of Shujaa 7, we have a very good squad, but when it comes to discipline issues, tuko pabaya.
Hata naweza sema kitu moja, we lost 3 key players going to the World Cup, ndio Buffon and the likes of the other two. Saa hiyo experience pay tulikosa. Juu the players that were brought in were new faces. Saa kujel ilikuwa ngumu sana kwa the squads, ndio. Clean out first, certainly next.
Alright, let's move on to some, Kenya Premier League preparation. It's just a couple of weeks away before the new season kickoff. Remember, it has been postponed from September 10th, of which it was supposed to kick off this particular weekend, and now it has been pushed to 24th of it. Well, I've seen some teams, revamping, some even, just taking friendly matches like Gor Mahia vs Bandari. That is, I believe that particular match will be played today. So ahead of this new season, do you see teams really, now stepping up and wanting to stake their claim?
Even kwanza sahi ningekuwa Nyayo pale Police FC akicheza na Bandari. I remember the last time we played against them, it was the last game of the season when Abuya Duke did something pale Nyayo Stadium, and we had to to send these people from the coastal side back home. So I feel at least at this this period of this break, we have seen a lot of positivity in our teams. We have seen them playing those friendly matches, and that is good actually. So Police FC, they had traveled in Rwanda, but kulingana na FIFA tuko band, unajua tungecheza game, so few hours wakati tumeingia kwa uwanja tuko preparations, FIFA Rwanda football federation said no,
can't play.
But hatukuwa tumeenda sana kucheza friendly, sisi tulikuwa tumeenda camp pale. Camp at least to enjoy another environment. So I feel I've seen a lot of positivity between the teams wakicheza hizo friendly matches, and that shows unajua wanajaribu, because the transfer window was on, walikuwa wanajaribu wakileta wachezaji vile watakuwa wanatumia, because some of them walisign a lot of players, so it becomes hard for them kujua vile mchezaji atakuwa anacheza. So ukicheza friendlies, unajua mchezaji huyu unafaa kumtumia hivi, unafaa kumtovia hivi, and like Bandari walikuwa wanaleta squad mzima, unashangaa wote wanakuja. So they used to it is good for balancing, and I feel that ligi kianza this time itakuwa na msisimko mwingine hujaionekana.
Well, Bandari actually signed a couple of players, and actually Bandari is a team that has been really performing, and in addition to those new signings, do you see Bandari now this time lifting this trophy?
KPL na kwanga ni aja tuna the hostess sasa ingine, si ndio? But I may say the way Bandari is strategizing this period itakuwa mahali. Na pia kuna bankers nimecheki game zao, wamepiga friendly karibu 4, si ndio, pale Toyol. Na maana juzi Wednesday masungano wamepiga goal 2-1 hadi nikastuka. My own team at my own grounds hapo na cheniaga hapo kamtoa mpigwa 2-1, unaona. Sasa nasema sasa itakuwa kugumu. Nasema tu sasa itakuwa two horse race, itakuwa tuende
pesa. But I think for Bandari, Bandari ni watu they have a good strategy, I think ni kama shida ilikuwa na coach Andreas Kasabungo wakati wameachia sasa Mundu to come and work. I have seen a lot of positivity, him interacting with his players. The moment umecreate your bond kama coach na wachezaji wako, definitely they will work tirelessly. So I feel that hiyo bond kati ya coaches na wachezaji inasaidianga maplayers sana kujijenga, and that's why unaona team kama Bandari, KCB, Police FC, Tusker, they will come with a lot of positivity. Kidogo the newbies adujana wakifanya signings pale Fortune FC bado tujaona, APS Bomet bado tujaona, but I feel that wale wachezaji wako nao ni kama wamewaprepare vizuri, though they need to know walete walete sponsors, watu watawasaidia kupata to have money in order to recruit in new members, new players, because KPL si rahisi. I need to tell them, kama kuna fan wa APS Bomet ama Fortune ananiona, KPL siku rahisi. Kujeni hapa Kasarani tuwaonyeshe. But I'm happy, you know, Central tuko na team kama Fortune FC. Right now tutakuwa tunaenda pale Kirinyaga, tunapiga pale Iguru Stadium, tunasikia fiti.
Well, talking about EPL, you know, not being that, you know, easy. Actually, EPL is a tough league, and for you know, a club with so many, you know, success and the most prestigious in terms of trophies. You're talking about Gor Mahia. 2 seasons, the title has eluded them. And this time round, they have worked with, you know, bringing in new coach just to try and see if they can really patch things up. Probably, in your own assessment, do you think this time it will be them, or probably it will be Police, or even, who knows, Tusker?
The league is challenging. This time the league will be challenging kidogo tu hivi kiasi, but I think Gor Mahia watainuka. Last time walikuwa chini, but Gor Mahia patia huyo coach time. Ni venye side tactics zake hazijawaka.
Najaribu kinga kwa ligi na
watalii.
Hatujakataa lakini it has to work. Na it has to work with few games. Unaona kama leo anaenda kucheza friendly. So the more you play friendly, the more you get to know the players, your players very well. So kuna players wenye watakaa bench na kuna players wenye watakuwa will have new players who will be starting the game. So for me, I think Gor Mahia will have a chance to lift the title. Ama kurudi hapo juu kiasi juu kuna venye kidogo waliteremka hivi. But because of the new coach,
walipigwa na Bankers juzi hapa 2-1.
I really have hopes.
Even as we wind up this particular review pretty quick, your prediction, who do you think will carry this particular league?
For me, it's Tusker.
Not your Gor.
I think for me, you know, it is very hard to predict, you know, KPL because last season watu walisema Kakamega Homeboys atachukua, but something happened, you know. Sijui kama ni match fixing or anything, I don't know. Sina siasa, but it is very hard. But personally, kama shabik shakiki wa timu ya Police FC, I believe Mungu yupo, tutainua hii kitu.
What about you?
I'm going to the Bankers for now because the friendlies that they're playing right now, they're winning. They're signing Cairo, the Rex of Cairo walifunga bao wapiga Gor Mahia kwetu.
Kila timu ina win, hata Ulinzi anashinda na
Bankers will win the league. So the prediction is the Bankers KCB.
Okay.
Na sasa yao atakuja hapo chini yetu.
No, Evans, we should be happy for the teams that have come in because, you know, the last time Central we had a team that was Thika United, you know, back in 2018, you know. Right now, hatuna team, tumekaa nje sana, tunaonekana kama tuko nje. So, at least Fortune FC have come in. Pengine utaona Gogo Boys ama Ruiru Hot Stars wakikuja anytime soon. So, we should be happy na tuwasaidie kama Central.
Alright, well, we take another short break, and when we come back, we'll be talking about international review. But remember, earlier on, we had asked you about, do you really support the return of Nick Mwendwa as, you know, the new, or rather, do you support the return of Nick Mwendwa as the FKF boss? You know, remember, this is a person that was charged with so many corruption allegation charges, but now the court has, or rather the director of criminal investigation withdraw that particular case, and now he can breathe a sign of relief, and he's a free man, and he wants to return to his initial job at the mantle and at the realm of Kenya Football Federation. Well, we take a short break, and when we come back, we'll dive direct to international review. We know a lot has happened. We have seen the fall of Reds, both Manchester United, Liverpool, and of course even Chelsea was, you know, punished, but that will later be on after the break. See you in a while.
Driving and riding without incidences on the road is such an amazing experience. But do you know while many road traffic crashes are avoidable, human behavior continues to be the leading cause. Speeding, lane indiscipline, drunk driving, distracted driving, failure to wear a helmet, and failure to use available pedestrian ways have been flagged by NTSA as the fatal 6 behaviors likely to lead to a fatal crash and serious injuries. As part of the Usalama Barabarani campaign, we request all road users to prevent these fatal Title 6 behaviors for their own safety and that of others. When driving, ensure your speed is within the stipulated limits. The road ahead is clear before overtaking. Stick to your lane. Keep left unless carefully overtaking. You're well rested if driving on long distances, and you never drink and drive. Usalama barabarani starts with you. Fika Salama. This message is brought to you by the National Transport and Safety Authority and the European Union.
Today I'm going to talk to one Mr. Derek Ngige, the CEO and founder of Finer Consultancy, bringing you Shamba Assistant.
We discovered what was going wrong is no one could assist the farmer. No one actually could hold the farmer's hand through the journey. So it uses just a normal charger, and also it can be charged via solar also. You can also now collect the exact point using the GPS on board, where you're able to see the longitude and latitude of where you actually collected the soil sample, so that when you are doing advising, you can know which part of the farm, the exact part of the farm where that data was collected.
Leo nitakuwa na kufunza jinsi ya kuhani mashairi. Huu ni mmoja wapo wa utamaduni wa kipwani.
Kitu muhimu sana katika huo ugani ni kuhakikisha kwamba sauti inabaki vile vile. Na sauti kubaki vile vile ni kulea sauti. Naipasua mbarika kuwapa zangu salamu, salamu za uhakika yatufika binadamu, moyo wangu wateseka mapenzini sina jumu, damu yangu ya kungu ni bahati sina ni.
What's up, people? How are you doing? My name is Katali Kenya, and I will be bringing you the full packed entertainment show in the 254. Talk about trending topics on the industry 411.
When these people were doing the things they've been accused of, was I there?
We're bringing you the biggest upcoming and sizzling artists in East Africa coming through.
So then I got a call from Shafiweru. And he asked me, wewe, unataka kufanya radio ama ni nini?
Nikiwa solo artist, nilikuwa careful.
The biggest concerts and events going down in East Africa. As well as articulating youth issues that matter. There's a lot of stress and strain that is associated with early parenthood. This is the full packed entertainment show that you cannot afford to miss every Monday from 8 p.m. This is the Scrunch Show, and see you there.
Alright, welcome back, and this is the last segment of it, the international review. Of course, remember earlier on I asked you about this particular question. Do you support the return of Nick Mwendwa to the realm of FKF, that is Kenya Football Federation? Well, keep on sending your comments on our social media platform, Facebook at KUTV Kenya, on Twitter at KUTV_Kenya. Let's go berserk on that particular topic. And of course, as we dive particular to this international review, let me take you pretty quick to what was to be this week's fixture. Early fixture will have seen Chelsea and Fulham lock horns in the London Derby, and Liverpool will have entertained Wolves, and Leicester City will have played host to Aston Villa. Bournemouth will have played Brighton Albion. Brentford will have travelled to St Mary's Park to square it out with Southampton. Manchester City would have played host to Tottenham in a battle of the Titan. Remember, these are the only two teams that so far they haven't lost any of their matches since the beginning of this season. However, they have dropped points. I'm talking about a few draws here and there, but this will have been very interesting match to watch and even to follow as far as title race is concerned. And of course, on Sunday, Arsenal would have played Everton, and this would have been a moment of redemption for the Gunners after they were thrashed 3-1. And they suffered that particular defeat at the hand of Manchester United. It was, a happy moment for Manchester United before they were humbled by Real Sociedad. Wow, it was amazing. West Ham United versus Newcastle. Probably that will be another, a battle of epic between these two teams. Remember, West Ham United have really struggled this season with no single win. Crystal Palace will have played Manchester United, and on Monday Leeds will have entertained Nottingham Forest. Well, gentlemen, this particular week has been a tough one and a very interesting week for the Big Six. And when I talk about the Big Six, I talk about even the Reds, and actually they are bleeding right now. Liverpool were punished 4-1. And Manchester United, humbled after so many noise after beating Arsenal, and Real Sociedad, tell them, you're playing with the big boys, be humble. And of course, even Chelsea, they suffered defeat, and actually that was the icing that actually sent Thomas Tuchel home. And before we come to the EPL, let's first talk about the Champions League. And actually, out of the 6 teams of England, probably the big teams, actually the only team that really performed well in the Champions League was only Manchester City when they beat Sevilla 4-0. And I'm really impressed with the form of Haaland. Do you think this is the beginning dawn for Pep and his Manchester City team?
Haaland is a key player. Haaland, De Bruyne, Cancelo. We have now a complete squad. With a striker, we have a complete squad. As Haaland, the past 6 games we have played, Haaland has contributed either a goal or an assist. So I think in Champions League we were playing Sevilla. I can say that was a tough game because Sevilla are not at their good form. So I think the game which will make us more happy, it's Manchester City against Dortmund, Borussia Dortmund. So kwangu I think Haaland bado hajajiprove against big club, but he's a good player, but hajajiprove against big clubs. So today we were supposed to play Tottenham. So I think this was a game to watch, so that you can see the key players who we really have, if they are really good, or we need to change a little bit, because even Alvarez is a good player.
Right.
So
Well, I can see you guys were itching, to respond back. He talked about Alan not proving himself. Well, we have seen what he has done. He has really, actually in this campaign, I think he has scored so many goals this time round. But the big question is, will he be the key to unlock the so perceived, Manchester City hoodoo? Talking about a team that has really performed domestically, but when it comes to global, the global competition, they have really struggled. 2 times Champions League have really, eluded them. In the final against Chelsea, it was theirs to lose, and it was in their semis against Real Madrid. You saw what happened until the 90+ minutes. Things really changed, and some began to even believe that probably the sentiment, or rather the saying that people used to, heard about, Pep Guardiola being cast with Yaya Toure probably could be the real relation. I don't know.
Mimi nasema ni aje. Yaya Toure kwa tulifanyia birthday fulani kubwa sana hapo hivi. Kama ametusamea sawa. Kwenda kunini the group stages itoa hiyo kunini alikuwa hapo kwa draw, si ndio? Sasa nasema yani the curse is over, ametaka tusamea sisi. Natoka jamaa anaitwa Haaland, is unstoppable my friend. Jamaa hata iko timu ndogo, England is not a nini, si ligi ndogo sana. Hadi unapata kitu kama Nottingham inapiga the likes of Chelsea, Fulham inapiga, yani ni ngumu.
All right. This is how it is. Haaland has really scored a lot of goals. That's one we know, and that is for sure. And that is for sure. And there is another thing. Do you see? Actually, if you ask me, Haaland has really, his performance can't be owed to much of success that we have seen the likes of Kevin De Bruyne being on top of their form right now, because they are the main supplier of the ball and the guys just diving and just converting. So I don't know if you think probably he hasn't proved to be that lethal striker that we have expected. Why it not? Why it not? The many support or much of the supports that he received from the best suppliers like the likes of De Bruyne.
Silva. Okay, me personally, I feel, actually, I was telling somebody somewhere that, we only have 2 strikers in the EPL. That is Mitrovic of Fulham and Erling Haaland of Manchester City. Because the other strikers, they are not using the jersey 9 very well, And I was, right now, ukicheza against any EPL team, hakuna team dogo EPL. You can tell vile they are driving, to win matches. And what I know, personally what I know, strikers do win you matches, defenders win you trophies. That is a fact, And I feel that Manchester City, right now, having, Kelvin De Bruyne and having Erling Haaland, at the same time, the same squad, that's a very good, that's a great impact. And I feel that, Erling Haaland will bring in a lot of positivity kwa squad, sababu huyu jamaa ikifika ni finishing, having somebody like a KDB, KDB can pass that ball from anywhere, and that shows that they have a lot of challenge, they can challenge any team, because the best way, ukiwa na midfielder mzuri mwenye ata supply ball kwa attacker, inaleta a lot of positivity kwa squad. So I feel Erling Haaland asha confirm yeye ni nani, and I feel that actually in EPL nampea more than 40 goals.
Well, there is another thing that you said, in England there is no any complete striker except from Mitrovic and Erling Haaland. Of course, there is Harry Kane. This is a player that has really proven himself, scored 20 plus goals.
We are talking about this season, right now I feel like Harry Kane is a struggling striker, sometimes okay, we have not yet seen other strikers like Aubameyang is here now. We are yet to see what he has to give the team. So right now we can say Mitrovic and Erling Haaland ndo watu wenye wamejiprove kwa squad that they can do better, they can score from anywhere, from every sport, and that is exactly what we want. Tunataka ma strikers kama hao wenye wana make football ikuwe beautiful.
Well, enough with Haaland. Let's talk about Liverpool. Actually, it was very shameful and actually it was
Napoli.
Against Napoli. Remember these two, but we must give it to them. Napoli, this kind of competition, probably when these two teams meet, it has been quite very intensive, and even the rivalry between the two teams, it's just epic on its own level. But shipping in 4, wow.
Liverpool has a problem. Liverpool iko na shida fulani. Naona the likes of Trent, Gomez, Salah, they're not really playing this season.
Van Dijk as well.
Van Dijk, I cannot really say Van Dijk, but the playing Gomez and Trent at the same way, it is a problem, because Trent has proved himself lazy this season because the first goal came because of him. The second goal was it was a penalty. The third goal was because of him and Gomez. I think Matip should come up and aingie kwa game. Weke Gomez bench, and Klopp needs to talk to Trent because unajua hapo sasa hawezi ona replacement strong ya kuweka hapo kama mtu kama Tsimikas ama mtu mwingine, but I think they really have to work on their team, the whole team, because they are not really playing. The only player who I can say in Liverpool who is playing right now, it's only Diaz.
All right.
Yeah.
And 2 penalties in one single match. What kind of message does it send as far as, you know, a team like Liverpool is a team that men will not expect it to make so many or rather silly mistakes like that one.
Hata before hapo unaweza pata Van Dijk haja concede penalty for his entire season, his entire career in Liverpool. So the first day of the league aka concede to Mitrovic, unaona. Sana nasema hiyo defense haiko, it's not
strong.
It's strong. Unapata lakini ninasema nani? Matip alikuwa injured, unaona. Sasa kuleta nani Gomez hapo ndo alikosea. Huko wengine Trent mwenyewe akipanda arudi. Anataka Gomez amsaidie na Gomez mwenyewe ni ana mbio. Sasa check. Na sasa ni kitu moja bado. The defense is check.
Okay, do you think Liverpool this time will really suffer, especially the defense, because they have really shipped in a lot of goals?
Yeah. Before I said that, you know, defenders win you trophies, strikers win you matches.
True.
And you know, you can tell, you know, the absence of Sadio Mane, the effect enye alikuwa naeka hapo, you cannot, you know, wana feel mashabiki wa Liverpool, they already feeling, you know, that, you know, Sadio Mane kumbe hayuko hapa. And you know, in terms of defense, you can tell, you know, conceding, you know, having to, you know, 2 penalties in a single match, you know, that shows that's a leaking defense, you know. So they really have to work on their squad. They really have to, you know, focus and, you know, lazima wa players work together, you know, sababu hiyo leadership pia wanaikosa pale kwa defense. Van Dijk ni kama amekosa kwa pale defense, because ukiangalia yeye ndo huwa anapanga, you know, the backline pale, lakini ukiangalia this time Liverpool how they have been you know, playing, you can tell this is not the Liverpool that we know.
Well, let's talk about the fall of the mighty Blues.
London.
Actually, Chelsea this season, they have really, you know, if for lack of a better word, they have really sum up, you know, sweet and bitter stew. You know, to some point they will take us to a roller coaster ride. Sometimes they'll take us too high, sometimes down. And for me, I think it was an eye opener. That particular loss to Dynamo Zagreb, of all the teams in the world, only Dynamo Zagreb. So probably, how will you sum Chelsea performance of that particular match?
Chelsea bado players, you know, they have many new players, many new players in the pitch who have not even wajajail bado. So the same players when unaenda kuoneka hapo kwa pitch, you have the likes of Cucurella and Koulibaly wajaelewana bado. But I can say hiyo ilikuwa game ya Leeds wako, I mean game ya Soton wako vizuri sana. But kama uliona game ya Dynamo, we have Aubameyang, we have Sterling. Wako kucheza venye tunaweza tegemea tuseme this is the Sterling we knew in Manchester City, this is Aubameyang we knew in Barcelona. So I really think Chelsea needs time, and for the new coach wamepewa time sasa hiyo, kuna time sasa ya kutrain till further notice.
Kazi ipo.
Well, Graham Potter now is the new Chelsea manager, and the culture of Chelsea, they don't entertain failures. Do you think Potter will have enough time to build a team that he can say, like, now this is the team that I want to challenge for title? Do you think he will be given time, owing to the fact that if there is one thing that they lack in Chelsea, is patience and time?
Oh, as for me, nasema ni aje, the coach amepewa 5 years, non? Ni kama amempatia imani, tunaweza kupatia time, wewe mwenyewe ujiprove wewe ni mnoma, si ndio? But Graham Potter ni kama Nuno Espirito Santos, alikuwa from a small team elevate to a bigger team, hakuperform. nasema Graham Potter for me is a small team coach. Hapa ta perform vizuri, lakini sasa kwenda kutoka Brighton hadi Chelsea, hata ujaona hadi Champions League, ujisikia team unataka coach team kwa Champions League, ime lose the first game. So it's up to you know, na next kuna AC Milan, the winners of Scudetto last season, unaona. So itakuwa ngumu for me, akipewa time maybe next season. But Chelsea kama Chelsea fadhali kupata coach time, iwe Mourinho iwe Conte unaenda, unaona. But for the 5 years maybe atapewa time, maybe.
Well, do you think Chelsea will be that, you know, leaning for 5 years?
You know, okay, personally me, I thought, you know, shida yenye Chelsea walikuwa nayo, first of all, you know, it is their playing discipline, you know, because before umeangalia they have a lot of red cards, including coach mwenyewe Thomas Tuchel akona, you know, juzi nimeona ana fight na Conte kwa game yao against Tottenham, you know. That shows kuna kitu wanakosa kama players, you know, sababu, you know, having a lot of red cards. Koulibaly amekuja juzi ashapata red card. Gallagher umemwona ametoka loan amekuja tena red card, you see. So I feel that, you know, kuna a lot of indifferences na, you know, that playing discipline wanakosa kama Chelsea, and I think that's why the new owner of Chelsea have decided now, because kama coach mwenyewe akona a lot of indiscipline issues, then we have to you know, bring in, you know, Graham Potter, you know, this is a man, you know. We can't say that Tuchel is not a man, but okay, in terms of, you know, how he coordinates his, you know, players, you have seen him working with Brighton. Utaona ni mtu mwenye anajua kutengeneza, because Brighton inasumbua timu kubwa sana. So akiwa na squad kama yenye Chelsea iko nayo, I feel that atakuja kuleta mabadiliko hapa na pale, but actually he needs time. Exactly, he needs time, because kutengeneza squad na utengeneze, you know, kujaribu kuleta players together, because that is the same case ni shida kama yenye Erik ten Hag anapigana nao pale Manchester United. A lot of differences, wachezaji wengine wako na dressing room yao, wengine na dressing room yao, so that is what first of all coach anakuja kutengeneza, so that you can now you start winning matches.
Graham Potter is full of dry jokes. And so first of all, in terms of reaction, even, you know, those some touchline sideshows, probably we won't witness them so much. And he's a good communicator, by the way. He has a master's degree in communication, and this is a guy that is well groomed, and we really hope he will check the mantle and he will be up to the task.
Definitely.
Well, as we, you know, wind up this particular international review, let's talk about Arsenal versus Manchester United. And I know I have one Manchester United fan, Liverpool, I mean Manchester City fans, and of course the great Chelsea fan. But
Chelsea is a joke by profession.
How will do some you know, Manchester versus Arsenal performance?
Well, right now we know that, you know, Manchester United is trying to, you know, get its, you know, first 11, and we can actually tell. Personally, I can, you know, choose the first 11, and I can assure you I can win against any team, because right now you can say you know, center back is sealed. It is Martinez.
The guy is biased. Let me get a neutral. How will you sum?
About the game or
about the game?
The game nilifurahia. Nilikuwa nataka nini pigwe vibaya sana Arsenal. And I said here before, and the last time you hear I said that watapigwa Mercedes. So Arsenal is a small team. Watoto wadogo against a team that iko na De Gea kwa post, iko na the Butcher, pigwa. Kuna kitu kingine.
Okay, Arsenal, I mean Manchester United, they managed to squeeze a win out of Arsenal.
Yeah.
And remember, for them to prove that they are actually a force to reckon with, they were to prove a point against Real Sociedad, and they failed. So how will you, you know, owing to the two games, how will you sum up that particular match?
Manchester United is not a big team.
Yeah, thank you.
Signing Anthony has not make a difference. If we really watched the game against Real Sociedad, Kama uliona game against Real Sociedad, Manchester never got many chances. Unajua Arsenal walicheza highline and all the goals were counters.
But that was not our first 11, you know.
Relax. Ngoja kidogo, ilikuwa counter. Real Sociedad, their mid was Eriksen, Casemiro and Fred. Their strikers was, the sole striker was Ronaldo, then they had Anthony and Sancho. So ukiangalia team, that's like their first 11.
Yeah.
That's like the first 11. Mtu mwenye unaweza toa hapo ni Fred peke yake.
Na Maguire?
Na achana na Maguire. Maguire never made a problem. Actually the penalty came from the butcher, the so-called Martinez. So kwangu Manchester right now, Ten Hag bado hajalink hiyo team kwa like ile team yenye unaweza sema this is a super team, this like Man City, this like
even
this like
I would like to say something, you know. Ni kama vile mesema ya Ture cast Manchester, you know, Manchester City. That's the same case. Wakati tuko na Maguire kwa squad, hatushindi mechi yote for the last 3 games. But we have lost them. But wakati Varane na Martinez wameanza kwa pale kwa backline, we have done the 4 games.
That was luck.
I think the butcher actually, you know, sold Manchester United to the real butcherman. That is the simple fact of it. So for me, I think Manchester United, the beating that you received, it was legit. It was
well deserved.
And be humble. Be humble. You are playing against big boys.
You know, actually,
that's what happened.
I can say something as we wind up. You know, those lots of chances Ronaldo wasted, you know. Hii nakwambia kwamba we need, you know, that a complete striker, unajua.
Ronaldo is a complete striker. Ronaldo has many goals. Having it
Ronaldo this season, you can tell that he's not in, you know, his form.
Mungemwachilia aende. Msimuweke mtu ataki kucheza game na nini yenyewe. Hata leta nini unity kwa team.
You don't have, actually you really don't have a sole striker because the substitute striker is Martial and Martial is undergoing injury.
You see that Rashford
is there.
Rashford
anascore kuscore. He's back.
What happened? Cristiano Ronaldo, the GOAT. The GOAT.
Is the GOAT, but you know sometimes as a player, mnapotezanga ile uzuri wenu, you know.
Well, in as much as the discussion is hot, probably that's bringing us to the end of this particular show. It has been an honor. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for making time and making this particular review a very success. And for all those who made this production a success, salute to all you all. Until we see you next time, enjoy the rest of your viewing.